Hola chicos, this
Hola.
is Miss Garcia.
This is Miss Navarro.
And we are here today to introduce you to the speaking component of the Spanish GCSE examination. I am going to play the role and the part of the student, and Mrs. Navarro here is going to play the role of the examiner with all her expertise. We're going to be taking it into turns. We'll guide you through all of the steps that you should be carrying, and then at the end we'll show you the proper model of what a good one looks like and how it would be to actually answer all of the questions properly. So we are going to give you some useful tips and strategies that you can implement in your revision, for example, if you're now studying for your GCSEs and when you're doing the proper test. So, Mrs. Navarro, what would you do as an examiner for GCSEs, and what would you have into account?
So, my advice for all the candidates, it will be to make a good use of the 12 minutes preparation time that you all will be given to prepare for your role play and photo card task. You will be given 12 minutes, so I will advise you to spend 6 minutes on each task. And then you need to make sure that you read through your role play card and prepare the bullet points given in the on each card slowly, and making sure that you are just giving an answer to those bullet points. Ms. Garcia,
I agree.
You as a student, so you get your card. The first thing that you need to check as, for example, a higher student is?
So first I would read the question. For example, your teacher will play the part of the assistant in a Spanish department store and will speak first. And then I will be given how I need to address the speaker, meaning the examiner. And it would be either tú or usted. If I am given the option tú, then I will need to address the speaker, the examiner, in a more informal way. However, for higher students, it is very likely that you will have the option of having the speaker as usted, which means that you will need to use a more formal register in your language, in the context, in the vocabulary that you're using, but more explicitly, you will need to use the third person singular to address the speaker. So that's gonna mean that in your verbs, you need to be super careful with that. Additionally, once I move towards the photo card, I will read, for example, estás hablando con el empleado o empleada en una tienda en España. That's giving me the context, and that's giving me lots of words and information for me to know later on what the questions could be about, and that's going to give me some really useful information. And the most important things is always to remember, if you've got the exclamation mark, what you've got to do, and the question mark as well. So just remember, question mark, you will need to respond and answer something that you have not prepared. You can write some prompts for you to use later, so obviously you can include some information about this topic, and you can try to prepare for something that is related to this topic, although you might not know 100% sure. And when you've got the question mark, that will mean that you are the one who needs to ask the question. So, as I have said, I will read the keywords on those bullet points and try to give an answer that is accurate and related to that question, as Mrs. Navarro has previously said, because that's what the examiner is looking for. They just want you to convey information that is relevant to the question. They don't want you to write big paragraphs. I just need to answer according to the question, and that's it. So I will need to be accurate with my language, especially with the verbs and with my vocabulary.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing that it will be very important is that don't worry if you don't understand the questions. The only question that you need to worry about is when you get the exclamation mark, which is the unexpected question, because that one is the one that you have to try your best to understand it. The rest, it doesn't matter what the teacher says, you are gonna say what is on the bullet point.
And you have prepared your questions. That's why you've got some preparation time, because you can give your answers there, you can write them down, and then you will be using those answers. So shall we go through the bullet points
Yes, Ms.
and
Garcia.
explain to them how it would be? So if we go to the first one, as you will be seeing somewhere in the video, it says camiseta y qué talla. Me as the student, I know that I need to give an answer related to a t-shirt and a size. That's it. So as long as I introduce one verb in the present, meaning that I want a t-shirt and the size that I want, that should be fine. So what would you ask me, Mrs. Navarro?
I mean, you need to think, okay, I'm in a shop. I'm within a context of a shop. What is an expected question there? ¿En qué puedo ayudarle? I'm already addressing you as usted because I don't know you. And that's the formal way to address someone in Spain. And it's just a matter of showing respect. So, ¿en qué puedo ayudarle?
Even if I don't know what the question means, I already have my answer and I'm going to stick to it and I will just say it. Quiero, or me gustaría, una camiseta de la talla 10. That's it. You could say medium, small, large if you wanted to, pequeña, mediana, grande, but that's alright. Just choose the one that you actually know, and if it is like in the UK system with numbers, if it's easier for you, stick to it. That's totally fine. Now, Mrs. Navarro is going to be a bit mean and she's going to ask me the unexpected question, which I have no idea about.
And then is when Miss Garcia is going to listen carefully for keywords. And I'm going to say like really slowly. ¿Qué color prefiere?
¿Puede repetir, por favor?
So, while she's saying, ¿puede repetir, por favor? She's giving herself some time to answer the question and to try to understand me. ¿Qué color prefiere?
Prefiero el azul.
Muy bien.
So it gave me time to think a little bit about that question. Now I used the verb that she included in the question, which is prefiere. Okay, I know that's to prefer. Now I need to know that I am going to say it in the first person, meaning that I will need to end that verb in O. So I'm gonna say prefiero, and then I just choose the color. Prefiero el azul. I could say prefiero una camiseta azul because that's what I'm asking, I'm being asked, but I just wanted to say one color and it just came out of my mind, and that's the easiest way that I could think of to include an answer.
And you will get the mark because you are already saying, even if you just say azul, you still will get the mark.
Because the most important thing is communication. As long as you convey the message and communicate, that's it. Next one, siguiente. Camiseta para quién? Okay, now I know that I'm being asked about the t-shirt again, and now I've got the preposition para and then quién. So even if I don't know what the preposition para means, I know that quién is who because I've been studying those W8 questions in Spanish a lot, so I know that it is who or whom. So, for example, in that case, I will say, I want a t-shirt for myself, quiero la camiseta para mí, or simply if I say para mí, that should be fine because I am giving the answer to the question.
Mi pregunta es, my question is, ¿para quién es la camiseta?
La camiseta es para mí.
Muy bien. Can you say in a different way? Can you say like in a shorter way?
Para mí.
Para mí. And you will get the mark. You don't need to make it complicated. As long as your answer is answering the question, that is fine. You're gonna get the mark.
Short, accurate, precise, done. Next one. Now is my time to ask the examiner a question. Now, I'm going to be very clever in here and I'm going to use my brain. So when I have prepared my questions, I am going to be using information from my bank of question words that I have already pre-planned, and I'm going to use any of those. So when I have been a really good student revising for my speaking, I have prepared my questions, for example, do you like, and then I can complement it with the wording of the question. For example, te gusta or le gusta in this case for usted. Then I could also say I, is there any of that I am being asked, or tengo, or I could simply actually say the word that they're giving to me and actually say it with the intonation of a question. For example, this case. So I could say, ¿te gustan las rebajas? Because the question I am being asked about rebajas, sales.
Pero puedes decir te gustan si tienes que dirigirte a mí.
Lo siento.
If you have to address me as usted.
My mistake, because I need to remember that this is for usted. Therefore, I cannot say te gustan. I need to say le gustan. And I need to include a final N in gusta because rebajas is plural. So I cannot say le gusta rebajas. I need to say le gustan las rebajas.
¿Qué otra estrategia, qué otro verbo podría ser bastante útil?
Podría utilizar I. That's really useful.
Muy
So
bien.
I could use I all of the time. Is there any of that I'm being asked? So I could say, ¿hay rebajas? Are there
Muy
any
bien.
sales?
Muy bien.
Or I could just simply say, ¿rebajas? Like simply asking, any sales?
Muy
So
bien.
what would you say to prompt my question?
Sí, tenemos rebajas en enero.
But what would you ask me before to prompt my question?
¿Tienes
Students,
una
no?
pregunta para mí?
So in case that I get stuck and I don't know that it is my turn to ask a question, the examiner is always going to be there to prompt me in case that I forget. I would try to be following the script in here, but just in case. So I would say, ¿hay rebajas, por favor? And I could be polite and include that, por favor. And finally, I need to include one answer about tu opinión sobre las tiendas en España. So it's my opinion about shops in Spain, and I need to include one detail because it says between brackets un detalle. So I know that as long as I'm talking about shops in Spain, I'm going to use the same wording. I include one opinion and I include one detail. I should be fine. Therefore, what's gonna be your question?
Mi pregunta es, my question is, ¿qué piensa de las tiendas en España?
En mi opinión, las tiendas en España son muy baratas.
Perfecto.
Perfecto. Did I include an opinion? Yes, I said en mi opinión. Did I give one detail? Yes, I said muy caras.
Baratas.
Baratas.
Sí.
And I included the same wording, which is las tiendas en España. So shall we recreate it and do it in a more easy to go through way?
Muy bien. Estás hablando con la empleada en una tienda en España. Yo soy la empleada. ¿En qué puedo ayudarle?
Quiero una camiseta talla 10.
Muy bien. ¿Qué color prefiere?
¿Puede repetirlo, por favor?
¿Qué color prefiere?
Vale, prefiero el azul.
Muy bien. ¿Para quién es la camiseta?
La camiseta es para mí.
Muy bien. ¿Tiene una pregunta para mí?
Sí. ¿Hay rebajas, por favor?
Sí, hay rebajas hasta agosto.
Muy bien.
¿Qué piensa de las tiendas en España?
En mi opinión, las tiendas en España son muy baratas.
Muy bien. Bueno, pues ahora pasamos a la tarjeta de la foto.
Muy bien. Gracias, Mrs. Navarro.
De nada.
I hope that you enjoyed these tips and you can use them in your revision for GCSE, and we wish you luck. Buena suerte.
Buena suerte.
Adiós.
Adiós.